Talking about stories, we're taking this storytelling thing a little more seriously today. We've started and launched a new format at Smasher, which is Startup Tales. So, of course, as I said, there's one more suit walking in, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Yeah. So, with Startup Tales is another format where we invite startups, the co-founders or founders of young companies, to share their stories and not give us GAN and BS. So it's going to be an interactive session. We'll request the founders to share their story for about 10-15 minutes, and then we'll break into a Q&A where you can, indulge and dive deeper into their stories and ask your questions. So first up, we've picked up a popular topic from our Facebook polls. That's a startup tale which talks about scaling up from 0 to 10, 10 to 100, and 100 to 1,000 customers. And for this, we've got two really interesting companies. One of them is a fashion brand called Done by None. How many of you are following Done by None on Facebook? Very popular on Facebook. Show of hands. Very nice. So you got Amrinder Dhaliwal, who's an IITD and IIM Ahmedabad alumnus, who's got over 17 years of experience and spearheaded ventures across diverse industries, including e-commerce, online, print media, etc. And his entrepreneurial ambitions have driven him from incubating new ventures in different places he worked for, and now he's launched this fashion brand, which is very popular with the women. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on the stage Amrinder Dhaliwal. Hey. Please take a seat. And with Amrinder, we've got a gentleman called Ambrish Gupta, who is the founder and CEO of Knowlarity. It's a Gurgaon-based cloud telephony startup. Ambrish is a graduate in computer science from IIT Kanpur, and again an MBA from Carnegie Mellon University. Knowlarity is backed by Sequoia Capital and ranked amongst Asia's top startups by Red Herring. I hear they give you some super receptionist as a part of their offering. So I don't know if Ambrish is here. Do we have Ambrish? Okay, anyways, we'll start off with Amrinder's story, and I think when Ambrish will join us in the meanwhile. Over to you, Amrinder. Thanks.
Thank you. So my task has been made triply difficult. First I had Nilesh here, a great storyteller. Then I had this question about how many of you are following us on Facebook, and I think it's a biased question because I'm talking about a women's brand. So I don't count the numbers, I take it as it is. Thank you for this opportunity. So I'm here to talk about Done by None. I'm co-founder of donebyNone.com. We are a fashion brand which brings fast fashion to consumers at affordable prices. Today morning, I happened to come from Delhi, and there are two things which I saw, very interesting things, which I want to share with you. And I would like to keep the session interactive. You can interrupt me anytime, and you can shoot your question. The first incident was with a personality, Asaramji Bapu actually. He happened to be on the same flight, and he's been in the news for all the wrong or the right reasons. So I was a little skeptical. I said, "ठीक है, मतलब, so it's okay." But what I saw was that when he boarded the flight, he had a couple of people with him, and there was this flight attendant who brought him in very nicely, made him seated there. It was well attended to. When he got down, I mean, I was like an ordinary mortal. I also got off. When Asaramji Bapu got off, there was a vehicle waiting, there was a crowd of attendants over there, a couple of people touched his feet, and one guy was so excited as if he had seen God in front of him. I was amazed, and I started thinking, why is it that he's getting the kind of reception he's getting? He's got a special vehicle which took him from the aeroplane to the exit. Very interesting. The other interesting story which I saw was on the way from airport to this place. I saw the Pepsi vehicle, and I saw the ad over there. You had a picture of one famous actress holding two cans, and she's on the can, you've written "my can." Now, what's this my can? It's just a Pepsi can. What's about my can in this? So these are the two interesting thoughts that come to my mind. I'll move on to our story, the Done by None story. How did we go about building the brand and how far we've reached? We started almost about a year back. So the brand was launched in March 2012, and this March we completed 1 year. So really, as part of that story, I want to also share about the story of Sana. Sana is a girl who works for an ad agency in Bombay. She's from a small town called Nasik, and she's the eldest of 3 siblings. She's made till here on her own. She's living in Khar, and she travels to Nariman Point. In Khar, she's put up in a PG with 3 of her friends. She's done things that have never been done before. She got educated, now she's working, she's supporting her family, and she wants to make a career, she's ambitious. Now I want to cut into a day in her life. I want to cut into her mind and see what's happening. This morning, she's woken up, she's thinking what to wear today. How should I stand out? How should I look good? What should I wear? She's thinking about what should I wear for the pitch that I'm going to make to this important client. When these thoughts are going on in her mind, she also has to plan for her work, plan her day. She goes to her office. She gets an email from her boss talking about rework on the entire presentation that he has to do. There is stress, there's work stress, there's stress related to the boyfriend issues, there is that she's got to go chatting with her friends, meet her friends. All these things are going on in her mind, and she's saying, oh, I'm overloaded, I want to take a break, maybe go to Himalayas, maybe go to Kashmir for a trek. And all this, there's a close friend who's ready to talk to her, who connects to her, who understands, reflects her emotions. And she sees a message from that close friend, and then she says, it's cool, it's fine, life is good. And that's Done by None. And that's really our story. It's a story about building an emotional connect with our consumer. It's not about preaching, it's about being with her. It's not about us, it is about her. It's about her life, it's about her making her feel good. It's not about telling how great a brand, how great a product, or how great an offer we have. That's really what is important, and that's how we've grown ourselves. And that's how I connect the story that I told you about Asaramji Bapu. I think what separates that is that there is an emotional connect that has been built. So that's really been part of building our brand. I also connect with what Nilesh talked about, Facebook. I mean, we've used Facebook as an extensive medium for building this connect. And as shamelessly as Nilesh talked about. And the way we've used Facebook is that we've tried to create meaning in her life the way she is. We've gone deep into what kind of posts should we be doing? What should we be talking about? Because in her life, there is friendship, there is relationship, there are her hobbies, there is self-discovery, there's her career. So every time we want to talk to her, we connect to her, it's about what does she get from our conversation. And that's been important. We've even analyzed the time at which we've posted and the time at which she opens her Facebook. So our study tells us that around 11 o'clock, once she's done with her first hour of work, she checks out Facebook. Maybe just before lunch, she wants to log in and check out. And then in the night, people are logging in and checking out around 9 o'clock. Simple things like this. We've also looked at what is it that's exciting, what is it that's actionable. And a very interesting thing that we discovered was we did in summers last year, we did couple of posts around ice creams and chocolates. And, they did really well in around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the night when you really, really are craving for ice creams and chocolates. So those are the kind of things that she connects with. I mean, it's important to establish that connect, and that's really the key in building your brand through Facebook, through social. The other important thing in brand building is about the name. I mean, what's in the name? Actually, we believe everything is in the name. When we started our brand in March last year, so we had spent about 3-4 months looking at what should we name our brand? What should it be called? We went through a lot of routes. We said maybe it should be a nice sounding name, like combination of 2 words, Smashington, or it could be some interesting word like Tribe 24. But none of those really stuck with us. When out of a chance discovery, we were brainstorming with our team, done when none happened, and we said, yes, this is it. Because that's the brand attitude. It's about her, it's about her attitude, her approach to life, that she's done what hasn't been done before, she's taken the difficult path, she's chosen the difficult path. So that's the strength the brand builds. The name is very, very important in the journey. And from the name comes the cues for presentation. So what does Dan Banan mean? What does that attitude mean? And how does it reflect in the ways she interacts with you? So when she comes to the website, she sees the product, the name of the product, the way it's described. She reads that small conversation. So if you go and check out how we describe our products, these are actually little conversations, little diary, little chats that she keeps having in her mind or with her friends. That's what makes a difference. And how's the product presented? The way we present it is not like a billboard or an ad, really. It's actually in real life situations. So when she sees a nice pair of heels, a girl wearing a nice pair of heels sitting in a cafe maybe, she thinks, oh, I have got a party over the weekend where I'm going. I think this is what would look perfect on me. So it's really about connecting at that level. And that's really where we are different, where we stand out, where we offer unique, fun, quirky brand. So that's the first mantra of our brand building. The second has been around focus. So really, beginning from 10 to 100 to 1,000 customers, I think it's really, really important to decide and to focus on what you can do really well. As a startup, resources are always limited. Even today, I guess that would be the case years from now, you would always have 20 things to do, but you'll have to choose what you want to do. So in our case, the first choice that we made was that we are only women's online brand. I mean, that's an important decision. If you look at conventional wisdom, it says, you can see here as well, online, internet, it's predominantly male-dominated segment, so maybe it would make sense to have a brand which has menswear as well as women's wear. But, there is a opportunity, there's a cost over there, because in that scenario, you are losing focus. So can you make an impact? Can you be sharp? And that's the choice we made. Yes, women's segment. And even in that, we are really sharply targeted. It's the average, if you ask me the single age profile, then it's a 25-year-old working woman is what our target is. And that's really, really sharp, because you can go a couple of years up and down, and I'm talking about the way she thinks, the mental age. Certainly, it's a very sharply defined TG that we have. The second important decision that we took was on how to build the brand from 10 to 100 to 1,000 customers. Actually, the first 10 customers for us came from family and friends, because at that time, you want more feedback to come to you. So what we did was we actually went around, collected the friends list of ours, of course, and all the employees, and we shot out mails to them, and that's how we got first few customers. From that journey on to actually the first 100, again there was a choice. Now the choice was between various, you can say, wisdoms. So some of the wisdom said, oh, you can actually try out and build your customers from emailing. There are these cheap databases that are available. It's going to be inexpensive for you to build. Or somebody says, no, you can actually spend some money on Facebook, you can get your 100 customers. So I would say it's important, your brand, and in our case, our brand, was shaped by who these first 100 customers were and how we got them. So when you look at non-targeted acquisition, In our case, certainly didn't work. First of all, its gender is not available. Secondly, age profiling cannot be done. Thirdly, psychographics can be done. So in that sense, Facebook was absolutely the right medium for us to pick. And secondly, all the data, all the information that you can get out of it, it helps you to shape your brand, get the response from your consumers, learn, target, retarget. And that's been our story so far, and that's the kind of focus we've maintained all along. So I can say that a big success that we've had in the last 1 year is that the social media, the digital strategy that we started with, we've persisted with it, and we made a successful brand by staying with it. And really speaking, it's about really focusing and dedicating yourself to building it. The other thing about focus is, so it's very easy. We are all in internet technology business. It's digital, so you can get customers at multiple locations. How much does it cost you? You can have top 5 cities. You can have top 20 cities. You can target anywhere. So at that, when we started out, we had this debate. So we can have, why don't we have our first 100 customers over top 5 cities, top 6 cities? The other argument was no. Top 6 cities is not good. Maybe we should have only in 1 city. So when we were debating this, we said if we have, and the obvious choice was Delhi because we are based out of Delhi. We said Delhi, but Delhi is hyper competitive. All the country's retail, everything is available here. Why would anybody try and experiment with us? Good sense prevailed. We persisted with our strategy. We said, no, there are 2 reasons why we would like to have only Delhi strategy. One reason is that as a startup, your systems, your ability, your leverage with your partners, with your delivery partners is not as strong. So if you're locally available, it helps. Your entire system, entire network is locally available. So it's possible to maintain a high delivery standard, high standard of service with your customers. And we were able to do that. In fact, we were able to also supplement that with our own people as and when it was required. The second strong reason for choosing Delhi was that it's also about density. So as I said, it's easy to digitally get customers spread. I mean, you can have same psychographics over 20 cities or 10 cities. But that's really not the game, because anybody can access that. The game is about virality. Can you create viral effect with the first set of customers you get? Because a brand cannot grow only on acquiring customers. Your customers need to be really, really excited about what you've done, the kind of experience he has, and she has to go and talk about it. So with the first few hundred customers that we had in Delhi, there were a lot of interconnections that these customers had. So even though we were targeting them through a scalable media, we were targeting them through Facebook, we were able to build those interconnections. So certainly in Delhi, we were appearing to a brand bigger than what it was. I mean, it was really, women were talking about it. So that really, really helped us to focus on one area, to target, and to build virality from there. And obviously it was topped up with service that we could deliver with this. The other thing about building the brand from this stage was that we have always had a very lean way of working as a startup, a lean philosophy. And I'm specifically saying that because in today's scenario, if you really see, it's a tough market out there. There are so many stories where we find that the burn rates, despite wonderful idea and wonderful work that has been done by entrepreneurs, end of the day, it's cash that matters. If you don't have money in the bank, if you don't have money in the pocket, the story is over. So it's really important to focus and decide how would you invest. And I can tell you from my own experience that the fixed costs hit you really, really hard. So when you forecast, you say my revenues are going to be growing by X%, Y%, and it's in Excel looks really beautiful, but when reality hits it, there are always factors that you haven't accounted for. So we are 3 partners. As partners, our strategy was to first make sure that we handle individual responsibilities in strong areas and have a good team working with us, a good young team working with us, and areas where we had to supplement. For example, technology is one area. We wanted somebody who's a hardcore techie. And design is another area. We wanted a hardcore designer to join us. So we had high-end, good resources joining us. And then we had young people, and we have young people working in all the other areas that we have. So it's really about taking a bet. So I would say take the bet with the consumers. That's where we've taken our bet. And then keep everything tight. Keep the operations tight. And no business can succeed if your business plan is only based on spending money and acquiring customers. So in our case, I can share with you that in the month of, in November is when we decided that we got to take a call, because we had set initial base for our customers, and now we had to really figure out whether there is a brand that we built out there, whether the woman that we are talking about, she's excited about us, is she coming back on her own? And I'm glad to say that in the last 3 months, with almost no advertising, we have grown our visits by almost 50%. So that's the kind of virality that can be generated. So it's really about how good your product, how good your brand is, and that's really worked for us. So I'm open to questions. Yeah.
I would like to know what is the cost per acquisition?
So it's a very loaded question when you say cost per acquisition. There are various factors involved in cost of acquisition. So I would say typically when you're looking at acquisition, you would say these are my channels. And in these channels, these are my costs. So as I said, right now we don't advertise. So, sorry? So our average or general average you're asking? So our average is 0. We're not advertising. But generally speaking, if you're asking, then depending on the business, so it could be as low as maybe 100 rupees to as high as 2000 rupees. I mean, it depends on the product, how much margin do you have, how competitive that industry is. No, I didn't say that. I said we stopped advertising in November. Yeah.
How many consumers do you have on a repeat basis?
So that's another point. Actually, I missed out talking. I want to share that. So I think as a business, it's important to be clear on what are the causal matrices and what are vanity matrices. So we can feel very happy about having 100 customers, 1,000 customers, 10,000 customers. But the way I look at our business, actually, I look at the repeat rate, because it's possible for me to scale from 100 to 1,000 to 10,000, but is she coming back is the question. So in our case, the question to really address is how often is she coming back? So in our case, she's coming back on an average every 6 months. And there are customers who buy every month. I mean, there is this set of 15, 20% hardcore customers who are coming every month and buying from us. Those are our real champions. So that's the distinction. And also, we are talking about digital media, we're talking about Facebook. So it's very exciting to say I have X number of fans. Now, that really doesn't mean anything. Are they engaged? How often are they talking to you? How often are they commenting? How much reach do you have through them? And how much visit are you able to generate? In our case, when we started out, so I don't know if maybe all of you are aware about this, but Facebook changed its rules somewhere around September, October. So prior to that, you could access all your fans. There was no restriction on the percentage of fans you could reach with your posts. If you are really good, it's viraling out, you could reach anybody. But around September, October, Facebook changed its policy, and obviously that was because they're listed, they want to make money. So virally, the percentage you can hit was brought down significantly in the 15-20% kind of a range. So if you want to reach rest of your fans, you got to pay Facebook. That kind of a thing happened. Now, there are a lot of innovations still that can be done. So in the same period, actually we doubled our revenue per fan, even though there was a restriction. So it's about really going deep, detailing, going into the depth of it, and really figuring out what works for you.
Excuse me.
we are a fast fashion business, so and we are a curated site, so it's not that she's coming to Danbanam because we have 10,000 products. She comes to us because there is this exciting shoe that she's really liked. Maybe there are 10 pieces like that, and she's coming only for that. So our inventory turns are really fast. Nothing stays on our site for more than about average is 2 months.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, you are running e-commerce. That means how you're solving the last mile delivery issue. Do you facing any challenges in it?
So I will relate this question to Nilesh's talk because ours is a predominantly urban product. Nilesh is a predominantly rural product. So the bigger challenge is over there. What's happened, and again, it's about what your focus is. So larger companies have invested in delivery because they can and they solve that problem. But as a startup, my personal view is this, that you have to be good at what you do and really invest your money there. There are enough number of people who will solve that problem for you. So in the last 2 years, there are a number of companies, and the traditional courier companies were not geared up to handle e-commerce deliveries. And really there were problems. But in the last 2 to 3 years, and fortunately that's when we started our business, there are partners, there are startups available who are aligned completely to what you want to do, but that's their core business. So in that sense, delivery has really not been an issue. And now today, even though credit card penetration is not as high, but cash on delivery has really opened the market. I mean, it's really worked for everybody. So we ride on the distribution network that exists, and that works for us perfectly well.
Focus on Delhi?
No. Actually, we are pan-India now, but to answer your question in another way, even though we're not focused on Delhi, still about 35 to 40% of our business still comes from that area. Because if you know about retail, then in any general retail scenario, offline retail, about 35% of retail is Delhi NCR, and about 50% of retail is North India.
So you said that you are trying to emotionally connect to your clients, ladies. So how do you plan to, when you scale up the operations and try to reach more ladies, how do you keep that emotions intact?
It's like having multiple girlfriends, I think. That's it.
When, on the other
Sorry,
hand,
that
how
doesn't
many
light.
people are there, or how many girls would be sitting or typing or thinking about these things? So there has to be some scaling up logic in that. So what's that?
Yes, so the logic is very simple actually. First, it's about who your customer is. Once that is clear, now the next question is how many of those customers are there, and then are they there on the medium that you've chosen. So in our case, we chose Facebook as a medium, and we chose a certain psychographic, certain profile. So it's really, if you look at the numbers today, more than 10 million women are on Facebook. So it's a number that will take a lot of time to reach, even if you give any psychographic cuts on it. So that's really not an issue. Scaling is not an issue from that point of view. And it's not that you are in a scalable medium touching every customer individually. So if you crack that with 100 or you crack that with 1000, it's scalable and it's crackable with 1 lakh. It'll work the same way.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, I have 2 questions. One, do you sell private labels or international brands?
We are an international brand.
Okay. So, coming back to one question, like women in general as a consumer, they are known to have a very wide variety of products in their wardrobe. So you being in a business wherein you have a very restrictive kind of product portfolio, so how do you counter those kind of scenarios?
It's actually it's about what you are about. So our brand is not about सबसे सस्ता मिलेगा और हजारों options मिलेंगी. That's not the brand. We are not selling a product, we are selling an emotion. So when she comes to Dandanan, she gets a Dandanan product, wears Dandanan product, it's how she feels, it's about that. So everything that we curate, every design that we make and put on the site, it's about that emotion. So emotion is not a quantification of 100 or 1000, it's about how she feels.
Thanks.
Have you tried any other traditional advertising means or any media and you found that you got better results sticking to Facebook compared to the results you got when you tried something? Like an ad in a newspaper or in a magazine or something?
Right. So I come from media industry. I have worked in print media and I have also worked in internet industry. There are few philosophical reasons as well in the choices. The first is that the offline media is so blind that I don't think it can ever be efficient. And maybe it starts making sense if you're a category leader and you want to break the barrier and get non-users to become users. Probably that's where television and that's where print media would make sense. So to give you an example, maybe it would make sense for Myntra to continue advertising on TV because once they have exhausted the number of people who are online, it would make sense to get people who are not online to come and buy fashion online. So in that sense, offline media is out. As far as online media is concerned, Facebook has worked for us, but it's not that we haven't experimented, we haven't gone out with other digital methods. So it's really about having clear matrices to measure each medium and figure out whether it's working for you or not. In our case, even emailing has worked well. I mean, we've developed few channels and it's not that Facebook is the only channel. But we keep experimenting. We're not close to other channels.
Hey, Amrinder. Hi, right here.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Vineet. In fact, my question's on the screen right now. It seems throughout your talk you have a great control on the various, e-commerce metrics, both commerce and e-commerce. So we'd like to learn a little bit more about that. I know it's a longer question, but you seem to, starting from, you say DT and words like that, right, throughout. Those are things which, at least as technical startup.
Which word did you say?
You said DT, demographic, target demographic, TD, right?
TG.
Yeah. So, those are words as technological startup founders we don't get to learn unless we learn, throughout the course. Right? We don't know it before we start off. So, I mean, how did you pick that up? Is that from your previous experience? And could you tell us a little bit about that?
So, I think I can address that separately with you, but to cover it here, it's actually not about e-commerce. The matrices I'm talking about are applicable across. And if you look at any investors or angels or VCs, how are they able to evaluate businesses across industries and take a call and decide whether to invest or not? They're not sector specialists. So all of them actually have understanding of what are the core matrices a business has. And obviously there are nuances for e-commerce, online, and the kind of business you would be in. So it's about understanding what those core matrices are. It's simple like, you may get excited that I did 10 lakh sale this month, wow. Or I did 20 lakh sale this month, I'm growing month on month. But really speaking, on its own, that really has very little meaning. It has to answer an important question. So what was your cost per customer? So maybe you doubled your ad budget and that's giving 20 lakhs revenue. So is it good? I'm not sure. And then whatever customers you've acquired, what's the revenue stream you're getting with those customers? That's the question to answer. So versus per customer acquisition, what's the cost? Per customer, what I'm earning. So that's really the distinction between the two. But any questions you have, I can address it later.
I think we'll take one last question, please.
Lavin here. Hello. Yeah. Okay. My question is. Sorry. Okay. My question is regarding pricing. How exactly do you go about, or what suggestions would you have? How do you take the pricing approach in case if you're selling something which has an MRP, like let's say a cell phone or something? This is the price that you sell it. This is the price you're buying it. In case if it's a product which is not really an MRP driven, like let's say a t-shirt manufactured by somebody or shoes, how do you go about the pricing? What is the cost of product? What is going to be your cost for driving the sales, marketing or ad, and what should be your margins? And what price is this product going to be accepted by your buyers? So if you could just throw some light generally to help us design the pricings around our products.
Sure, that's a good question. So I would first address it at a generic level. So even in standard products, so cell phones and everything, there are things happening in the marketplace which determine the pricing. So why is iPhone selling at 24,000, not 48,000? Why is Galaxy Note selling at X price and not at Y price? So the market dynamics for every industry decide the price, and in that sense, whether you put an MRP upfront or not MRP upfront, whether you change prices every day or not change every day, there's a mechanism that operates. So in retail industry, it's about markup. So typically a brand does 4 times to 3 times kind of a markup on the costs. So that's the averaging that is done, and I'm sure every industry, so a mobile industry would have a different method because they may have larger investments in technology, so their markups may be going in a different way. So that's at a very generic level. It's very specific as you come down to individual pricing. Now that's where online retail is distinctly different from offline retail. Because in offline retail, pricing is fixed. Once you got your stuff out in the store, it's got to sell at that price because it's out there in 50 stores or 500 stores. And the only time you can reduce price is when off-season happens, and that's when you give discount and move the product out. Whereas in online, pricing is much more dynamic. And I'm talking about all the businesses you may be curating, which may have an online pricing model. It's possible to test pricing very sharply because the moment you've introduced a product at a certain price, you can get 100 visits, you can get 200 visitors on that product. Test the price, and maybe you want to reduce the price there and then, or maybe you want to reduce the price after 15 months or for 15 days. So you can dynamically also decide your pricing. That's a key component of your pricing. So in offline, some of you would know, actually inventories are a big burden. I mean, because you've taken calls 6 months in advance, you put those stuff out, and it's really not moved. Whereas in online, there's a great advantage where you can actually do dynamic pricing because your cost is not a store, your cost is a customer, and you can actually change pricing dynamically. So online, I would urge all of you to, if your businesses are pricing over there, then test pricing, test different models, test different methods of pricing, and maybe you will hit upon the right method for you.
Amanda?
I think we'll call it. We'll take the other questions offline because we are running behind schedule. Thanks a lot, Amrinder, for the brilliant insights from your entrepreneurial journey. And ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause. Amrinder, I would request you to pick up the best question that you've received so far. I'm sorry? The question on matrices. Can we have the gentleman, please? So we'll request the person with the best question to come on and hand out the letter of appreciation and a small memento from our side. So we've donated on your behalf to the Avsara Foundation, and the letter says more about that. And there's a massive T-shirt for you. So thanks a lot, ladies and gentlemen. Big round of applause for Amrinder. And why don't you tell us about yourself?
Hey, my name is Vineet, and I'm between companies right now. My current startup does RFID solutions here in Bangalore. Well, not here, but in Bangalore. And I'm just in Bombay for the day attending your event. And it's good to know that Bombay has weather almost like Bangalore for once. So.
Thank you, Vineet. And here's a T-shirt for you also from Startup, our partners.
Thank you.
So, sorry? So next up, introduced our next speaker already, Mr. Ambrish Gupta from Nularity. He's just come in, and I would request Ambrish to come on the stage and share his startup tale on scaling from 0 to 10, 10 to 100, and 100 to 1,000 customers. Ambrish.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you.
It's good to come back to IIT. Myself am IIT Kanpur. What I'll do is I'll just briefly talk about my background and then dive into how we got 0 to 10 to 100 to 1,000 and a couple of more than 5,000 customers Knowlarity has. So I am IIT Kanpur 2000 batch, computer science degree. So almost 13 years back, long time back that I was here. I spent almost 8 years in US, had MBA from Carnegie Mellon University, worked for McKinsey & Company, and 2009 came back to India to start a cloud telephony company, Knowlarity Communications. What we do is we provide phone numbers to SMBs so that they can print on business card a simple number. Anybody calls in, it says, welcome to Malhotra Properties, press 1 for sales, press 2 for marketing. And you look like a big company. You can track every single call that is coming to you. There's great demand for such product in the market. We came in the market in 2009 and start offering these services to SMBs on a hosted basis. So you don't need to buy any hardware. Everything is, you can do everything in the browser itself. And there's a lot of demand in the market. I think one reason that people want to track anybody who is calling, second is they want to look like IBM and Microsoft. Logistics companies and real estate companies specifically have this need of looking very, very big even if they don't have an office. So typical customers, take a number from us for 20,000 rupees a year without having to spend any money in hardware. And they configure it and it says, welcome to Malhotra Properties, press 1 for sales, press 2 for marketing, press 3 for support, press 4 for PR, right? And you press any of these numbers, all goes to Mr. Malhotra ji. So we started in Delhi, which is, I think, it's exactly the right market for this kind of service. Yes. So I think probably that is the reason we also grew very quickly. So initially, I used to be the sales guy. We built up the software quickly and we started selling. So I used to call, we'll pull out people from Just Dial and call people and tell them that, we'll give you a hosted PBX system. They wouldn't understand. So there were a couple of iterations, the pitches, but as soon as we started telling them that I'll give you a number which will make you look like IBM and Microsoft without you spending any money in buying any hardware, that pitch worked. And I think initially when you go from 0 to 10, the founders should do it themselves, and that is what we did. We called up people, me and my co-founder Pallav, who's also IIT Kanpur electrical engineer. We called up people, and that allowed us to iterate on the pitch that we got to customers. And we got 10 customers, 15 customers, then we got a couple of people who would work with us. These were not sales guys. What we got was typical engineers who were passionate about selling. And they could understand the product, so they could talk about product features very, very easily. So me, Pallav, my co-founder, and 2 sales guys, actually, Rajesh, as I call it, and Sandeep, 2 guys, we sat down and we would call people from Just Dial. That is how we went from 0 to 10 and 10 to, I would say, 40, 50. But as soon as you start reaching that kind of numbers, you start getting into the problems of tracking follow-ups. It was incredibly important as we sold to SMBs to do follow-up properly and having processes established. You need to figure out a way to generate leads. Just dial calling up people on a day-to-day basis. It's kind of starts becoming after a while very, very difficult. And all of you guys are engineers. You rather go and code than call up Gupta ji or Malhotra ji, why they should buy your software. So I think 0 to 50, it's a very manual, very iterative process where you're trying to figure out product market gap. You're trying to fine tune your pitch. But when you go from 50 to 100, and you're talking about almost SMB, a consumer product, you have to very quickly start investing in the CRM systems, in some kind of sales tracking system, because then it starts becoming a machine. So yesterday we were on Economic Times, and there was a quote by me on Economic Times which said, selling to SMB in India is like having a machine gun that shoots like a sniper rifle. The meaning of that is that you have to have that kind of SMBs. Everybody's going to give you 20,000, so you need to have a lakh of SMBs to have large revenues. But every SMBs is going to have their own issues, their own problems, you have to negotiate with them. So you have to do very good follow-ups. You have to record everything that is, every conversation that is happening. And for that, you need good processes. So we invested early on a lot in processes. So we had a sales tracking system, which was initially just a MySQL database, and we would generate views for every agent to use it as sales tracking system. We used it for a very, very long time. And then after that, that is how we reached like 200, 300 customers. And after that, what we did was we started investing in the sales managers and the sales head who can come and bring in best practices. I think that is a stage what Eric Ries calls coin-operated salesman mode. So coin-operated salesman mode is you hire industry experts, industry sales guys who know how to sell day in and day out without actually having to worry about changing the pitch or changing the content or the product definition. Just basically repeat and scale what has already been happening. So around 100, we hired coin-operated salesmen, as you can call it, right? So basically talking about a whole bunch of salespeople, sales managers from the industry. And you have them do the sales for you in a very, very predictable manner where you're tracking every sale call, you're tracking every follow-up, you're looking at the funnel, you're looking at the fine line, and that is how you build up. So currently more than 5,000 SMBs that we have with this process in 1.5 years of launching this product. Almost 120 people in the sales team. And I'm standing here talking with you while sales is happening in Nularity offices in a very predictable fashion. And I think that is what is going to take us from 5,000 people to 1 lakh people, SMBs on our platform in the coming years. Thank you. Any questions?
Just one. You said that you were charging 20,000 rupees per company, right? Now, if I understand how the telephony works is, there is a charge against when a person makes a call, you're probably in the middle and you're transferring the call to the person, right?
Yep.
Now, what about the number, the minutes of that? There is a separate charge of that. How was that being taken care of?
Yeah, so theoretically speaking, you should charge separately for them, right? But what you would want in any product is not only product should be simple, pricing should be simple too. So what we do is bundle enough number of minutes in 20,000 rupees, almost 2,000 rupees worth of minutes, so that they don't have to worry about paying it for extra. So there are charges for that, but there are 2,000 minutes bundled and nobody passes those bundled minutes, so it basically works out.
So you're saying for a single number, 2,000 minutes is bundled?
Yes.
Hey,
that takes care of it.
Ambrish, question. You said something about these, coin-operated salespeople, right? So now, there's actually 2 questions here. One is, how easy was it for you to convince these people? Because they're most probably, channel sales in a large company, right? Like a Dell or somewhere, to come and join you at a startup level. I mean, A, were they expensive? And B, were they even willing to join at a startup? Because these obviously people are from like larger companies.
No, so it was, it's a very valid question. And early on, we had a lot of problems. So very, very early on, we had a garage startup, actually literally a garage place where we started. And I remember hiring people from Naukri.com who we would convince over phone, but when they visited our office, they kind of declined the offer to join us. So initially, it was very difficult for us to do it. But then one thing that we did was move to kind of a business center, which was nicer looking, and we did not have to pay too much, so it kind of looked nice. The second is, so that is where we solved the garage problem. The second thing that we did was, we reached out to those people who were at the somewhat junior level. So you want to hire managers who want to punch above their weight. So who in large company, the problem is the movement is very slow. Career movement is very slow. So you'll get very good quality people who are stuck somewhere here, but they're capable of here. right? So you give them these ambitious, and these are exactly the right set of people. You get them, and we had funding and all that, so there was sense of comfort in terms of company will not run out of money at least for next 1.5 years, right? So by that time, anyway, most of the people switch. So you get those people and tell them that we are going to give you this responsibility, and if you do well, you will be the head. So you get hard-working, ambitious people who are somewhat junior middle management position who want to be in senior position, and their ambition cannot be accommodated by the large companies' very slow movement.
Now you have created a general area. Your area was totally new as a selling part of. So how did you convince the sales guys that your sector is different, your area is different, but now you have to sell this? How did you do it?
So very interestingly, most of the initial guys that we got were insurance guys. They were used to selling insurance, and insurance in the world is the most difficult thing to sell. You basically have to convince somebody that you'll die, right? And unfortunately, in spite of lot of evidence supporting the fact, empirical and theoretical, it's people just refuse to believe that. So those people we were able to get, and they bite the bullet. They said, I think it's easier to convince people that you will die than telling them that you need a phone number which makes you look like a big company even if you don't have an office. So that's the way it worked out. So and insurance sector at that time in 2009, 2010 period was kind of going through contraction. So you had these ambitious people with very limited opportunity to move up, come and join us.
This is here.
Yes.
When you were starting up, did you have a screening process for your customers so that you didn't get dubious kind of clients that kind of spoil your brand image?
The customers who would pay and then spoil my brand image?
Yeah, by using your service and actually be a...
By using my services?
Yeah, somebody who's not really got a good business but just got your number and he's misusing your service. No?
In what way?
He acts like a big setup, as you said, trying to be like an IBM or something, but the customers who deal with him find that he's actually not what he's promised to be. That has no effect on your brand at all.
So of course, you send an email from a Gmail account to somebody that you are Prime Minister of, you Barack Obama 20235@gmail.com, right? Gmail should not have problem with that, right? I'm sorry. Yeah, it's I think no effect on our brand. I think it's the customer who is receiving the call should ask, why 20209? Why not Barack Obama at gmail.com? You'll be able to. I think that was not an issue. Initially, we tried to get the customers. We were very happy and glad if somebody was willing to part away 24,000 rupees of hard cash, right, for a virtual service. It's kind of, it doesn't come, very naturally to us Indians. So, that's, we were very happy to do that.
Did you ever had to choose between finding more people to sell 20,000 rupees service or to existing customer, sell more features and make more money over there?
We're doing both. Initially, of course, we were trying to just get more customers. But 10% of our team, almost 12 people now, are just basically sitting on existing customer and trying to sell them more features or give us referrals or renewals also. But the market is so big. So SMB is 14 million SMBs in India. Everybody wants to look big in India, irrespective of what the size is, and then be able to record the call. So they want to know, what their customers are talking with their employees. So there's a massive demand. PBX market is very, very big. So for us, it's basically going crazy on just expanding, both in India, also emerging markets. So we just start in Australia, in Southeast Asia as well.
So in initial days, did you pick any niche within this small and medium size, or you just went all over the place?
We went all over, but very quickly we developed a niche in real estate sector and logistics. You're talking about really like regular businessmen who are sitting in their shop and barking orders to their guys. These are the guys who are using our services.
I presume the entire sales effort right now is low touch, or is it a mix of low touch and high touch?
It's a very low touch because it's not that we don't want to give high touch. High touch is expensive and it cannot accommodate 20,000 rupees ticket size. So it's basically over telephone. We try to convince people, and if you are not able to convince, then it's okay.
You move on to the next customer. Okay.
Move on to the next customer. So we generate leads, massive number of leads, just sweeping through all of India, getting people who can be convinced with a low touch model, which is kind of medium touch, if I call it, because low touch doesn't work in India. People not do self-serve setup of everything. So as soon as they create an account, our account managers kind of help them, walk them through this whole thing, persuade them, explain different features over telephone. Would not go and meet face to face because that's very expensive for 20,000 rupees ticket size.
So, great, thank you. The second question based on that is, how do you plan to take it from 5,000 to 50,000 now? Because I think congratulations on getting to the critical mass, but then taking it beyond and scaling up, how do you plan to do that?
So there are a bunch of things that we're doing. It's just the lead generation process has become much better, so you generate more leads. The second is we have large channel partner network, so now that they are convinced. We almost last month, we do a lot in PR. So last month we had 40 articles published in a month in various newspapers, just talking about Knowlarity and what we are doing and how we are impacting the SMB market in India. So that has a lot of effect, not only consumers, but also the confidence of channel partners who can sell in local markets. That is what is that is going to take us to next level. And third, of course, is going out of India. Right from the beginning, we started out with the ambition of building up a global company in India and not an Indian company at all. We already in South Africa, Middle East and Australia launched, and those countries you have far better access to customers. They also are more willing to be in low touch kind of model and convert. So we start getting customers from there as well. So I imagine, 25-30% of the customers of 1 lakh will come from India and rest from outside India.
We'll take one last question.
Amrish? Yeah. So I have one question, Amrish. Over here.
Which way?
Right. So, yeah.
Right, yes. Okay, great.
What is the ideal size of your customer? I mean, what size of the organizations you could cater to?
So there are two products we have. One is SMB product, which is for small companies, and the second is hosted IVR, smart IVR as we call it, which is larger enterprises. So larger enterprises, we start from Pepsi, Coke, P&G, Johnson & Johnson's. All of them also need a phone in Kanpur. And I used to sit in the shop selling jute bags and reading physics, preparing for JEE. So I wanted to transform his business with my newfound knowledge of computer science in IIT. And I think that is what I am trying to do now. So the idea was that we'll have Super Singh as a businessman who is kind of frugal but still wants to get work done, right, without hassle-free way. Right, and we will give him different productivity tools so that he can enhance his business. And the first product that we launched was fax to email service. So you get a phone number anytime anybody sends fax is converted into PDF document and email to you, right? So you don't need a fax machine. Super fax, super conference, super reception. So basically, it's a Super Singh will use whole bunch of simple productivity tools for which he doesn't need computer. He can use it over telephone, and that will transform the productivity of the business across India. That was the vision. So all these product names actually inspired by Super Singh using super products than anything else. But maybe unconsciously I was inspired by one of those ads to come up with Super Singh name.
Well, that was a super session, I must say. Thanks a lot, Amrish, for joining us. And before you take leave, I'd like you to pick the super question of this hour.
So, super question is one of these questions that I select, or one of the questions that anybody can ask?
anybody had asked. It was the super
Go
question.
ahead, ask the super question.
No. I want you to select the ones which have already been asked. So which is the super question?
I would say, I'm sorry? I think the misuse question was very interesting question.
Can we have the gentleman on the stage, please? So we'll request Mr. Super Question to give you the token of appreciation and the Smash Up T-shirt, which we have, we've donated on your behalf to the Apsara Foundation. So there's a letter of appreciation for that. And can we have a picture with Mr. Super Question?
Thank you so much.
Why don't you tell us about yourself?
I'm George. I'm a sound engineer. I'm actually thinking of doing something as a startup. I've come here to listen to a lot of these interesting startups, and my thing was more about authenticity of many of the clients, because I've been on the wrong side of people who have taken me for a ride. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you, Amrish.